$200 a barrel in the next 6 months to a year. Now the media is talking about $5 a gallon by, what are they saying, Memorial Day. There's CBS News. Gas prices climbing towards $5 per gallon by Memorial Day. Lindsey, thank you for joining us.
Alex, I have, in all the years that you've allowed me the privilege of being on InfoWars, I have never been so glad to be on any show as I am this morning. People are desperate. Yesterday afternoon, I had a phone call from a stockbroker. He's a licensed financial advisor in my area. He was desperate. He said, Chaplain, I don't know what to do. He said, I don't know where to put my customers. He said, I don't trust the stock market. He says, you've been right on everything you said. This morning, I was in touch with a man in North Carolina, a licensed financial advisor, very well-known man, has his own radio show. And he said to me, he said, Chaplain, I don't know what to do. He said, people asking me questions and I can't answer them. Alex, we are in a mess. The dollar yesterday fell to 74.80. And the predictions have been made that any time it goes below 75, it could go into free fall. I couldn't believe what I heard just this morning. I mean, this is so startling. I'm sorry. It was last night on a major television, radio broadcast. Donald Trump was on that. I'm not pushing for Donald Trump. I'm just merely saying he was on a program and he's made this statement. I shuddered in my shoes when I heard him say what he did. He said 12 people control the price of crude oil on any given day. I almost had cold chills running up and down my spine. 12 people? How does he know this? He knows exactly what's going on. Alex, I don't know what to say. I'm so disturbed this morning. Gold and silver prices keep going up. Gasoline went up 9 cents per gallon just last week alone. California, $4.83 for diesel. Illinois, $4.30 just for regular. Alex, I don't know. I'm sitting here dumbfounded at how many times I've been hearing the word default lately, and you must be getting it too. But yet I look back, I don't know, let's go back to 1984. I was in Alaska. I was sitting in my living room. Ken Fromm called me on the phone. He said, Chaplain, the price of crude oil is going to go from $32 a barrel to $10 a barrel. It actually went down to $9 a barrel. And I said, Ken, why are you doing this? Alex, listen, folks, everybody out there, and Alex is listening audience, please hear this. I said, Ken, why are you dropping the price of crude oil like this? He said, Chaplain, he said, we have to teach OPEC a lesson. Folks, are you hearing this? He said, we have to teach OPEC a lesson.
I'll tell you what, Lindsey, stay there, recap that, and then give us the new intel you just got in the last week. Then we're going to open the phones up for Lindsey Williams only on the energy crisis that's been engineered that will lead to the eventual death of the dollar, the insiders are saying. 800-259-9231. Stay with us. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Over the last year, Alex has told you about, and many of you have experienced, emergencies and disasters in unprecedented numbers. People have had to literally run for their lives. Folks, this is Steve Shank with eFoods Direct. I'm not here to scare you, but when disaster strikes, you won't have time to think. You must act automatically. What does a pilot do when the helicopter engine fails in flight? No time to think, just act automatically. When the alert is broadcast, the alarm sounds, or the knock comes on your door, you'll need to be ready to act without thinking of what to do or what you need. You need a 5-day extreme emergency kit. With serious supplies and real food to secure 2 adults for 5 days, this powerful $300 extreme emergency kit is free with an order of at least $995 from eFoods Direct. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com/Alex. 800-409-5633.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
He joined us last week, and I wanted to have him on again this week for an hour to mainly take your phone calls. A lot of people want to talk to him. He's Pastor Lindsey Williams. Back in 1981, he wrote the book, The Energy Non-Crisis, now confirmed everything he wrote about, that the big oil companies made a deal with the Arabs back in the late 1970s to predominantly block major oil production and discovery in North America and to mainly buy from the Middle East if they would invest most of their money in T-bills. Now George Soros over the weekend announced that the end of the dollar has begun at Bretton Woods 2 in New Hampshire. We see CBS News, ABC News, all reporting that in the next few months they're predicting $5 a gallon gas on average, higher in some areas of the country, lower in other areas. That information is now coming out. We were told all of this 6 months ago in October of 2010 by Lindsey, with Ken Fromm, who was nearing his death in December with cancer, the former head of Atlantic Richfield Operations. He has another source who's a former CEO of another large oil company that we cannot reveal, but I know his name. He concurred, and again, he's talked to him since, and again this week with more information that this is all engineered in the Middle East, a double crossing of the Arabs. That's the point you've got to briefly describe the, quote, double cross, what this means to the dollar and the Arabs, and the type of incredible pain. I mean, it's hard for me to pay for this gas, and I'm middle class. I see these poor mothers with 3-4 kids in a junker car. See it every time I'm gassing up, almost every time. You can, disheveled hair, kids acting up, trying to fill up a big gas guzzler with, 350, 375, what is it, 376 and growing's the national average. How are people going to pay for this? And then most of the transportation is based in petrochemical, so the food prices already going up from commodities are now going to go up even more. Everything that's delivered in this country going up, from restaurants to food to consumer items. There's just a huge amplifying effect here. Please continue, Lindsey Williams, then we're going to phone calls.
People can't pay for this. That's the idea. And the startling thing is, Alex, Mr. Fromm told me this 2-3 years ago before he died, when basically he said one day, Lindsey, I'm 87 years of age. I'm too old to care. Just tell everybody everything. And that's what I've tried to do. But I'm coming down to the point now that I'm seeing people get desperate. Let me go back just a moment and rebrief one thing, and then we'll go on to what's happening right now. I wrote my book, The Energy Non-Crisis, in 1980. In 1984, I was sitting in my living room in Kostilov, Alaska, where I was a missionary at the time, and Ken Fromm called me on the phone, and he said, Chaplain, would you like people to think you're a prophet? And I said, Ken, what do you mean? At that time, crude oil was $32 a barrel. And he said, the price of crude oil is going from $32 a barrel to $10 a barrel. I said, Ken, it can't happen. He laughed at me on the phone and he said, Chaplain, come on now, get off of it. He said, you sat in our board meetings. You know who controls the price of crude oil. He said, don't tell me we can't do this. And he did. He not only took it to $10 a barrel, he took it to $9 a barrel. And I said, Ken, why are you doing this? He said, Lindsey, for the first time, we want to teach OPEC a lesson. Teach OPEC, all of the oil-producing countries of the world, basically, and they thought that they had the whole world by the tail as far as crude oil is concerned. And he said, we're going to teach them a lesson. I said, what do you mean? He said, we're going to teach them who it is that controls the price of crude oil. And then, when just last night I heard Donald Trump coming over a major radio program, and he said 12 people control the price of crude oil in any given day. And I said, well, this is what Ken Trump told me back 35 years ago. And I said, you're telling the people that this is what is happening? Now, you say, what can people do? I mean, what are people thinking? The CEO of Walmart this morning came out and said inflation is a major problem and is going up drastically. Do you realize that the ages of 18 through 29 years of age, young people, that the unemployment is 40%? Now they're talking about 9 and 10%. Ages 18 through 29, unemployment is 40%. Now, I'm hearing what Ken Trump told me, and Alex, I'm still sitting here dumbfounded.
Yeah, he said 3.5 years ago, just to recap, he said 3.5 years ago that crude oil would go from $45 a barrel to $150 within 6 months. It did exactly that. Then he said, now it's going to drop down to 40. Everybody laughed at you. It went down to 40. Your other source said the same thing. Then he said 2.5 years ago, enjoy yourself for about 2.5 years. It's going to basically stay the same, go up a little bit, maybe to 65. But then once gold and things start going up, look for oil to just skyrocket, and it's going to destroy things by design. Then 6 months ago, he tells you now is the time, 6 months to a year, $150 a barrel. It's now begun. Now mainstream news says $200 to $300 a barrel possible. But regardless, you did call it. The other source called it. And this is destroying our society. People are like, well, why would Obama allow this? He is there to carry out an operation, just like Bush. They'll politically destroy them, get them out of office, rehabilitate him later in the media. There'll be a new puppet in who will take the blame. And the elite then never get the blame. The private Federal Reserve never get the blame. Their front men puppets that they finance get the blame. And so please continue, and then I want to start going to phone calls. What is the new info that you got from your former Big Three CEO and his wife? And for folks that don't know why they would tell somebody like Lindsey Williams, he was their chaplain. He was in on the board meetings. Then he wrote a book. Then Lindsey becomes a source. That's how high-powered people do. They have media people that they know will keep their word about not revealing them as a conduit to get information out. Just like FBI, federal marshals send me documents saying that they're really training to take on the American people, not Al-Qaeda. Now, that's how you get these relationships. Go ahead.
By the providence of God, Alex, everyone out there in your listening audience, let me state it very emphatically. By the providence of God, I was invited to be the chaplain of the elite of the world, and I did for 3 years. As a result, made friends of some of those people, and every time they have told me something, I have gone on InfoWars and told you exactly what they say. I take no credit for this, but I want to tell you the very latest of what's happening, and I will name the nation. This is brand new since last week. I'm still sitting here startled because I wondered where it was going to happen next. I was just sent a chart showing the progression of the Muslim Brotherhood. Folks, please, don't take this lightly. They already know where they're going and what they're going to do, and it was published in the New York Times this past week. You go and get it for yourself, and it was posted on April the 5th of 2011, I guess it was, just a few days ago, and it said, Yemen's president, Allah Abdullah Saleh, is to be thrown to the crocodiles. Did you hear this? You remember that first it was Egypt, and I came on InfoWars 5 weeks before and told you there was going to be a crisis in the Middle East because I'd been told it by one of the elite. It happened 4 weeks later. Then it went to Libya. Last week, I said it's going to go to Yemen, Pakistan, Syria, and the last country will be Saudi Arabia. I did not know what the next country was going to be until this week. It is going to be, are you ready? Watch it. You'll see Yemen. This is your next target. They have already thrown the king of Yemen to the dogs. And listen, they reasons why that he's got to go, because he's no more of any use to them. So as a result, he's to be tossed out the window, so to speak. Then you're going to see this, and this is what I said on InfoWars.